Hello, I'm Odin, and today I'm going to do something a little different. See, typically when I'm doing my builds, I try to be as faithful as I can to what we've seen on screen. But today I want to build something inspired by what we've seen on the screen. In Guardians of the Galaxy, Rocket Raccoon will build a weapon out of pretty much anything. I mean, anything. What I want to do is, well, not use that. What I want to do is build stuff that I found at the discount aisle or at the dollar store and try to make a really good looking Guardians of the Galaxy blaster. What I'm going to start with and what inspired this, I found half-off bird feeders, and they were cheap to begin with. So this thing was 50 cents and these guys were $1 each. What I thought was, with the suet feeders, if I put them together, I could start to have a good barrel. And if I took 4 of them and did them together like this, I'd have a good barrel. That's what I want to do first. I remove the plastic tops and snip off the bottom of each feeder. So my thought was to line the inside of these with a bit of plastic, and that way they could glow when you pulled the trigger of the gun. But I also wanted a color core to light up. Thank you, Dollar Tree. I know the tube of the squirt guns will be long enough so I could start to connect the bird feeders. I thought I could use the tiny plastic coffee stir straws as a brace to superglue each end of the bird feeders together. Slightly smaller coffee straws would be better, and I didn't think about how the wires wouldn't perfectly match up, but this will still work. I know that I'll need to run a brace the length of the blaster, something that'll hold the parts together. So I cut some small pecs water pipe the length. And I can run a 2-foot piece of fully threaded rod or all thread through the pecs, which will hide the screw threads. That's lucky. Even though this pecs is cut from the same pipe and both rods are 1/4-20 in size, one refused to just slip through. So I tried heating the pipe, but in the end it was much easier to just chuck the thread into my drill and screw it into the pecs. Pecs pipe resists all the glues that I know of, and it doesn't paint very well. So I just used aluminum heater tape to attach the pecs rods to the bird feeders. This heater tape will paint easier than other tapes, and it doesn't have that textured look of tape. Plus, if the paint scrapes off, it's just going to be silver anyway. I need a solid cap on both sides to hold the squirt gun tube. I trace what I want on some thin plywood, and that'll be better for the threaded rods as well. I cut out 2, and then use contact cement to glue some 1/8-inch styrene plastic to one side of each. I drill out all the holes that I want. Then I glue on another layer of styrene. And all the little holes will only go partway through. Then I can use 1/4-inch nuts on the threaded rod to hold it all together. Later, I'll add more styrene on the edges to fully hide the wood. I want a clear tube to line the barrels, and I cut some polycarbonate plastic to fit inside. This has a protective white plastic cover, which I'll peel off later so the plastic doesn't get all scratched up right now. I want to use the base of the yellow feeders for the muzzles of the blaster, and I cut angles in them with my bandsaw and drill out the centers to fit the color tubes. I mark the center on each barrel plate and drill out a hole for the flashlights and the color tubes. The yellow bird feeder bottoms need a base because they don't look as good just sitting on the barrel plate. I cut out some rings from a 2-inch PVC coupler, and this looks a lot better to me. And the yellow plastic really won't glue very well, so I drill some pilot holes and screw them down to the barrel plate. And I add some 1-inch PVC pipe as barrel ends. I raided the spare parts bin at IKEA, and these plastic rings will work as a trim on the inside where the color tubes fit. To mount the flashlights inside of the other barrel plate, I add more 1-inch PVC and hot glue some cardboard tube over them. The flashlights can sit inside the cardboard tubes. I'll just need to pad them with some foam so they'll fit. I like the little perch from the yellow feeder, so I cut that off and figure out how to place it as a front sight. And again, I can't glue this plastic, so more screws are going to hold it on. I picked up a ball catch toy from a dollar store because I thought I could use it for the butt of the blaster. I removed the handle and cut some 3-inch poster tube which fits both the catcher and the barrel plate. I was really lucky with that. This gives me a shape so I can build out the back of the blaster. I bought the only electric zap toy gun that I could find in 2 different thrift stores. Now both had a ton of Nerf type guns, and all I really needed from the toy was the grip and an electric trigger. After I take it all apart, I find the circuit board inside is corroded, so now I have to ditch all the electric parts anyway and use a micro switch that I already had instead. Now it fits the handle, and some self-adhesive strongback craft foam will hold it in the right place. The back of the blaster needs to be strong enough to keep itself together when anyone holds the blaster up by the grip. I cut some wood blocks to fit over the threaded rods and between the cardboard flashlight mounts. Then I can use some foam core to pattern out a side piece that'll fit the barrel, the top curved parts, and the trigger grip from the toy. Simple. So I cut a pair from 1/4-inch plywood and slip the blocks over the threaded rods. I need to leave a little space for a 1/4-inch nut that needs to be up against the barrel plate. And then I mark where I want the blocks to go on the plywood. I'll drill out pilot holes and then screw all the wood pieces together. And there's not much space here to work with. I blame the designer for that. I checked the fit of the parts, and I really want to use the green tops of the bird feeders, because I like the way they look, but there's really no way to glue this type of plastic, and I'm afraid spray paint is just going to scratch off. So I end up never using them. I just really wanted to. I cut out notches in the wood so I can screw on some threaded rod couplers. These are really just long 1/4-inch nuts. Wing nuts would have been better, but I didn't have any of those today. Now I can pick the whole blaster up. I add some terminal connectors to some wire and connect it to the switch. All I need to do is replace the push button on each flashlight with the trigger, and the blaster will fire. I leave the wire extra long. I'll have to disassemble the blaster so I can change out the batteries later. I smack the switch out of the flashlight and remove the flashing circuit. And I solder one set of wires to what's left of the circuit board. And it didn't work the first time, of course.
So what the hell?
My problem was I didn't get the solder to seep all the way through the circuit board and connect to the other side as well. So while I get the lights and the trigger to work correctly, now I'm going to have a chance to tell you about my sponsor for this episode. We all have our everyday grooming routines, brushing our teeth, washing our face, making sure we're ready to start our day. And no matter what your routine is, Dollar Shave Club, yes, that Dollar Shave Club has everything you need: toothpaste, body wash, razors, and more to help you look, feel, and smell your best. Now, I've seen the promotions for the razors, and I bet you have too, but I had no idea they offer everything you need to face the world, whether it's just going out to work or teleporting to the other side of the galaxy. Dollar Shave Club is basically giving away their daily essential starter set to new members for only $5. This starter set features 3 trial-size versions of the most popular products that can help you stay fresh and clean, along with their executive razor. In your first box, you'll receive their shave butter, body wash, and 1 Wipe Charlie's butt wipes. You'll also receive their executive razor, which includes their premium weighty handle and a full cassette of cartridges. After the first box, replacement cartridges are sent for only a few bucks a month. This $5 offer is available at dollarshaveclub.com/Odin Makes. The link is in the description, and it's dollarshaveclub.com/Odin Makes. I want to say thank you to Dollar Shave Club and to you, because when you support and buy from Dollar Shave Club, you are also supporting my channel. I got both flashlights to fire from the trigger. Now I just need to attach the grip. The grip is smaller than the width of that plywood sandwich, so I cut a couple more little pieces of plywood and some PVC pipe, stack them together to fit inside the back of the blaster. And I can drill a hole through everything and use a bolt to squeeze all the parts together. But the bolt shorts out the back of the trigger inside the grip, so I have to slip some shrink tubing over the bolt and then put it all together. I use wood glue on the plywood and then add wood screws to be sure that nothing moves. And I also add some more set screws to the grip so that it won't twist on the bolt. Now I can pick it up like the blaster that it is. I add styrene to the sides so I can cover the wood, because I really don't need wood grain on this blaster. I glue on oversized pieces of plastic and then cut them to fit the wood. And that's actually a lot easier than trying to correctly glue on a perfectly sized plastic sheet. And I use Gorilla Glue and small nails to attach the poster tube to the top, and then cover it with some thin styrene, with context a bit. I use some parts from the toy gun, gluing it on the top to be a scope, or like a rear sight, and then I add another little small piece onto the front. And I really want to add more from the Yellowbird feeder. I really like these pieces, but I really don't trust gluing this plastic. So instead, I'm going to use more IKEA pieces. I cut these in half, trim them a little, and they'll look just great. I cover the open ends with more spare IKEA parts. I add a small strip to cover the gap from the poster tube on the top, and then actually glue on all the IKEA parts and add some more plastic panels to cover over those screw holes. Then I'll do the same detail pattern on both sides. Strips of styrene are cut and glued to the bottom. I could have done this in just one piece, but adding layers was just some simple decoration. I cut another layer of styrene to cover the back and add a small strip and plastic disc to cover over the grip bolt. Now, I don't trust this plastic to glue, so I'm going to screw it in place with a finishing washer. I use strong back foam to cover the holes in the ball catcher. This seemed the easiest way to fit that compound curve. And to keep the foam from sticking to my fingers, I'll dust it with some baby powder and then rinse off the extra powder. All the adhesive sticky is now gone. I cut up arcs of 10mm strong back foam and try to taper them to fit the red ball catcher. I can use some double-sided 3mm strong back foam as well. Now the back curve is in place without exposed screws. I cover up the rest of the new panels with pieces from the toy gun and some PVC pieces. A couple of screws will help keep the back securely attached, and I can still disassemble the back of the blaster to change the batteries. One more small panel to cover the open spot behind the grip, and it really feels like I need another place for my other hand to go. The other half of the poster tube fits over the bird feeder, and I can cover this with a sheet of textured ABS plastic and glue some raised grips into the front. Now, it kind of looks like a pump action shotgun, but it feels better as a way to hold this thing. I fully disassemble the blaster, wrap the yellow tubes in blue tape, and primer the whole thing with automotive primer. And then I spray everything with different metallic paints and black. So I've got all my base colors done. All I'm gonna do now is weather everything pretty much with shoe polish and then assemble it. I work my way through each part, rubbing on liquid shoe polish, sometimes watering it down, sometimes not, wiping off the excess, or just brushing a thin coat over everything. My real goal here is to give some darker tones where the shadows should be, because without the shoe polish, it really looks like a toy. But it's really easy to overdo it and make it look super greasy, and I actually kind of did that on some parts. After the shoe polish dries, I dry brush some silver acrylic paint over all the raised details to help them stand out. Before I reassemble the blaster, I spray some Uber Frost paint on the yellow tubes, and then just some flat sealer spray on the polycarbonate sheets. The frosted plastics will help diffuse the light and make them glow better. The easiest way to attach that lower handhold is Gorilla Tape. It's really simple, but it stayed on. I want to put the polycarbonate inside the bird feeders, which is a real pain to just do. So after spending a lot of time fighting with this first tube, I realized I could just shove one rolled end into a pipe and thread it through and then pull out the pipe. Much easier. I reassemble the blaster, starting at the muzzle and working my way back. Getting all the different pieces of the barrels to sit just right is tricky, but it still works. And all the extra wire for the trigger is nice for attaching the flashlights, and I've got plenty of space to tuck the extra wire before the back goes on. Most of the parts I used to make this gun I picked up locally. I put a list and links in the description. And I've got a scratch-built blaster, as inspired by bird feeders and toy laser guns from the thrift store and bits and pieces of IKEA furniture. You know, it all made sense to me when I was making it. Hopefully it makes sense to you. I could easily see this as being something that Rocket could have made. You know, that the handle's the right size for a rabbit, so why not? You know, it could be many different things. Paint it however you'd like. You know, I hope this inspires you to make something, because this is how Odin makes. I want to say thank you to all of my Patreon subscribers. And if you want to jump in and help support new videos, please check out my Patreon page. If you have any ideas for something for me to make, please leave a comment below. And if you make any of these projects, you can send me a picture.